Hi, welcome to stream. This is Chris Sweet, and we're going to go over. We're going to do that final push. I don't know if we're going to make it, but we're going to try to get through our IPO notes. We're just going to go sliding through our presentation while we're checking out. All the purple circles represent something that I disagree. Excuse me. I disagree with in this slide. Japanese imperial family. I'm about to die, but it's not goodbye. I'm really proud of this slide. And this is episode 8. It is 2021, March 23rd, Tuesday, California. So if you have not seen the other episodes and you're interested, you're always welcome to go find episodes 1 through 6. This is episode 7, where we've gone through a lot of this material. Lots of notes that we just wrote everywhere.
Awesome song that is like everyone's playing and we play it at the skating rink everywhere. How do you feel about that?
You got James Fortune, you the iPod pick of the week. Yolanda Adams is blasting off. I'm in Richmond playing and doing that.
I'm really looking forward to future mergers and acquisitions and future IPOs. I think if God's willing to let me live 70 to 90 years, I think myself and my family, I think we'll be able to pull off multiple IPOs that will leave stakeholders and shareholders really happy. So I've been putting a lot of effort in understanding finance and the design of companies, positive liquidity events, and it's been fun.
I hear all these people talking all this stuff about you, saying that you are sold out, that you are changed, that you about the money. You gotta go back to the basics. You gotta get back to that place, man. Go to a quiet place where there's no people, no audience, just you and God.
I believe this is where we stopped, but I'll just keep going. Ooh. This music artist is Uncle Reese. He's singing a song, He Died and He Rose. He's singing about Jesus, and wow, the song's amazing. Never lose perspective that I think the real way a company IPOs is happy customers. And it's actually not that complicated. If you make a lot of people happy with your product and services at a massive scale, you can grow into a $1 billion company. If you have, like, one of the goals of my companies is I'm hoping that we can make our customers half as happy as this girl is touching this dog, or half as happy as me listening to this song. Because at the end of the day, whatever triggers purchases is feelings, and what triggers people to buy your stock in an IPO, it's also feelings. So the whole point of marketing an IPO is that you're trying to actually soothe the logical part of people's mind, but you're trying to excite the emotional part of their mind. So if their logical part of the mind says check, and the emotional part of the mind says I need it, you've got a sale. So do not be fooled by all the suits, all the ties. It's just clothes. At the end of the day, it comes down to this. Can you sell? Can you sell product? Can you move product? Can you sell shares of your stock? Is this company going to survive longer or long enough to see positive returns? If the company survives more than 10 years, more than a decade, more than 5 decades, more than a century, it's going to attract the notice of the investing world, because most companies just don't survive that long. There are companies that are 231 years old. It's possible to gain the trust of investors over time. And as an individual, I recognize that I'm not the most attractive investment in the short term. But at the end of the day, I'm stuck being me. So I have to choose how I invest my time, my money, and my energy. And I want to create value for myself. And to me, an IPO actually represents allowing other people to participate in my dream, allow other people to share in the victory and share in the defeats. And I can't actually confirm there will be no defeats, but I will confirm that as long as I'm alive, we're going to keep using our brain and our body and our soul and our spirit, everything God gave us, every gift He's given me to its fullest potential to get the W. And I'm not going to feel bad if people don't want to share in my dream, because I'm going to go in even if I'm the only shareholder. If I'm the only shareholder, I'm the only person who believes in the dream, I'm going in. And if I'm the only one, then I will reap all the benefit. I will take all the risk, and I will take all the reward. But in that journey, I am willing to share the risks and therefore share the rewards. And that's pretty much what an IPO or any private equity offering really is you're saying, this is my goal, and you're welcome to join us. And if we succeed together, we will be treated as partners. But if we are defeated, we will also be treated as partners. And I don't need anybody to take a risk or to bet on me. I'm inviting the whole world, the public markets. You're all welcome to join me on this journey. But at the end of the day, I've got to do my best. I've got to do my best to get the best possible return on what God gave me. Like, if God gave me all the assets He gave me and all the gifts and all the talents, I got to use it. The Bible actually talks about return on investment a lot. Like when you look at the verses about the parable of the talents, God talks about banking. Jesus talks about count your cost. And He also talks about go to the end of the earth. Like, I'm actually really mind blown when I look at Jesus as a CEO. I realize that Jesus is the kind of CEO I want to be like. For He's a go to the ends of the earth. That's like global. He's a globalist. Okay. He said the first will be last and the last will be first. He was saying you must be like a child. He's like a designer. You know, in order to be a great designer for children, like a game designer, you have to put yourself in the shoes of your target market. And sometimes your target market, if they're children, you have to put yourself in the child mindset. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do to succeed in our IPO is that we've been putting ourselves in the investor's perspective. I've been putting myself in the investor's point of view and putting myself and trying to have compassion to understand the investor, to understand what are they afraid of? What do they desire? What's undesirable to them? And what characteristics are attractive to the investing world? And I know I don't match up even close to perfectly at this time, But at the end of the day, investors only care about one thing. It's return on investment. And you do not need to come from an elite school to have positive return on investment. You do not need to have your life picture perfect to have return on investment. Return on investment is derived from the value creation. And that's where I really understand that the gospel of Jesus Christ is actually about value creation. He talks about be fishers of men. I mean, Jesus was talking about marketing before humans even knew what marketing was. Jesus also, when he was talking about fishers of men, I mean, that's what IPOs are about. Like, IPOs are fishing for investors. You're fishing for investors' dollars. And I think what makes a successful IPO is communicating to people that the ROI is worth the risk. And the best way to actually deliver on that promise or that tease is to actually be trustworthy, to be credible, and to be incredible, to actually create value. And Jesus' call to live higher is actually basically saying, stop destroying value, start creating value. Start recognizing the value around you, start tapping into it. Don't make excuses. Don't say that you're not good enough. Don't say that you don't have enough. Look around you. Everything you need is with you right now. And that when I started digging deep into that, I realized it's quite true, especially with the internet age. There are a hell of a lot of distractions. There are a lot of temptations. There's pornography on your phone. There's like infinite Instagram babes. There's like video games aplenty, freemium models, everything. There are a lot of distractions in this life and on our phones. But when we look at the idea that everything we have is actually available to us, look, you can learn everything about investing, everything about finance, everything about design, everything about technology on YouTube alone. And YouTube is young. YouTube is just getting started. YouTube's got millions to billions of videos going to be uploaded every day or year. I don't know what the exact metric is. But by the time I'm 100, wow, I'm expecting YouTube to be billions of times larger than what it is now. And I've already gained so many things that I did not have. Knowledge, confidence, etc., etc., etc. It has been proved acquirable for free. The Bible says, he who wants wisdom calls out in the streets. Who wants to buy honeyed water without price? Wisdom for free. And wisdom is for free. I've actually found out that to be true. I've actually found that God is willing to give freely. And all we've got to do is ask, seek, knock. Ask, and you shall receive an answer. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and the door shall be opened unto you. While I'm asking, seeking, knocking about IPOs, we'll see. We'll really see whether asking, seeking, and knocking really is honored. Like, does Jesus honor asking, seeking, and knocking? I've asked for a 100 out of 10 wife. I want to be a good husband. I want my heart to be clean. I want to be proud of putting in a good day's work. I want to create value, honestly. I don't want to just capture value that other people created. I want to make a difference technologically. I want to make a difference culturally. I want to make a difference socially. I want to make this life more hype. And I mean, if I don't do that, what the hell am I doing alive? Well, what is the point? Got it. I like this verse a lot before we jump in. He's talking from Jesus' perspective. Throw me in court. Excuse me if things are right. I could save myself, but I'm not running. That's. I could save myself, but I'm not running. Death is right around the corner. I know that it's coming. I could save myself, but I'm not running. Jesus is not running. God is not running. So all glory, the true King of Kings. You, true, the one true King. Yeah. Oh. And I think there's something amazing about creating good companies. Some people look at company building and they just think that it's only for greedy, money-minded people. Sure, greedy, money-minded people might like company building, might satisfy something that they're interested in. But I think at the end of the day, don't we all want there to be better jobs for our kids? Don't we want there to be better restaurants? Don't we want there to be cooler products? Don't we want there technology? Don't we want the clubs to be cleaner? Don't we want things to be cheaper? Don't we want things to be easily accessible? I mean, there are a lot of businesses that are servicing certain markets, but they're not able to reach every demographic because it's just like not exactly cost effective. So Hainanese chicken rice is an amazing dish, but it's not massively available in the United States. So it comes down to someone needs to create a company, a business, a sustainable business, and service the community if they want to bring Hainanese chicken rice. And to be fairly honest, I kind of realized that I'm not actually really that interested in super massive like crazy return on investments. I'm actually really interested in the creation of value. I'm like really interested in breathing life into communities that are dead. I'm interested in being a part of creating jobs that people actually want. I'm interested in creating teams that people want to be a part of. I'm interested in tapping into the human potential. I see that in the movie industry. I see it in the gaming industry. I see there are a lot of companies that are they're actually making people who have very powerful artistic skills and talents and skills, actually giving them an ability to harmonize and create a symphony of magic, you could say. Because individually, a musician can do something, a writer can do something, individually an artist can do something. What happens when you combine those skills? And I've always admired that from the movie making cinema, basically, is this idea that, whoa, you can just take people with different skill sets and talents that usually do not get a chance to work together, and you're able to give them a sustainable, exciting existence. This is the kind of company I'm interested in. And to be fairly honest, if I'm returning, like from all the research, in reality, if you could invest in a stock that has better ROI than what you can pull off, you should not even start a company, to be really honest. Like if you looked at it from a pure ROI standpoint, why even start a company? If you had $1 million, why start a company when you could put $1 million in, say, a high-performing stock and not even work? You just basically put it there and time it correctly, and boom, you've got your positive return on investment. Tesla's returning something like 6 to 9 times over this past year. So in theory, if you can't beat 9 times return on investment, there's a massive opportunity cost for creating your own company. There's actually no real reason why you should create your own company and not just invest in something else. And this is actually why most people do exactly that. I think that many people have the ability to create companies of value, but they are actually choosing to invest it because they're looking primarily as ROI, because that's what their financial advisor advised, and that's actually what makes logical sense if what you care about is ROI. But I think that at the end of the day, God will not care what my ROI is. I think when I die, He's not going to look at me and say, Chris, was your return on investment 8 times or 10 times? He's not even going to look at the ROI from a financial standpoint. His real ROI is the entire package ROI. What is the return on His investment in me? He invested a lot in me. What did I do with it? And it goes well beyond far beyond finances. And I just think that I don't really care, actually, if I'm super successful or successful at all. I realize that, I feel that there's a really good mission out there that is more important than me. That mission is the creating of valuable jobs, creating of interesting products, getting people to smile like this girl, left and right and center. And there are many people who are already doing that. So I'm not like an innovator here, I'm joining their ranks. And if I try my best and I fail, that's okay. I'm like the ant who was trying to find the new colony, and I got stamped. That's okay. Maybe one of my death will warn other people, don't do exactly what I did. On the same token, I think that if I'm servicing the right mission, I think I can leave the world with no regrets. We were supposed to talk about IPOs, but we got hyped. This song is just getting us hyped. So we got two screens and we're looking at it. It's amazing. Basically, we had a free talk and now our IPO. Let's look at our audio check. Okay. So in this sequence, we're going from clockwise, from top left to bottom right, bottom left. And in this case, oversimplification, not really going to underwriters here. We talked plenty about that in the previous episode. The professionals you'd want are lawyers and accountants. You want to be SEC certified. You want to be able to list on a stock exchange. It's kind of mechanical, so you don't need to worry about it. There are professionals who are experts at it, so all they're really looking at is, are you reporting your financial data accurately? They don't care whether your company is doing well. They don't care if you have $100 billion in debt. All they care is, are you accurately presenting your data, and are you able to commit infrastructure as a company going public, from private to public, to continuously meet that demand to quarterly update your shareholders and the general public with that financial data that's accurate. And so you're going to need some consultants in the legal and accounting fields to CPA. You need certified public accounting auditing firms to make sure that data is accurate. You need lawyers to help you get through the filings, to make sure that... I think you have to deal with two sides. You need to deal with the deal structure and then the stock exchange, so there's contracts being signed between the two. You have SEC filing. If should be pretty smooth and easy, but if it's not easy, you can try to figure out why, remediate that. Then internally, lawyers may be present and probably will be present, because many companies going private to public, they have more shareholders than one, and they definitely want to structure the company correctly, and they may restructure the company in a way that's optimal for maybe tax benefit purposes, or for maybe it's voting rights. So it's not uncommon for new documents to surface and just basically, let's redraft this. Let's redraft our charter. Let's redraft how our board of directors works. Let's redraft our articles of incorporation. So just revisiting, you might want to revisit all the legal documents relevant to the organization of the company, which can be a challenge if they weren't exactly in place beforehand. But if the company was ran professionally and managed well, it can be very easy, because if the company was set up in such a way that was already preparing to IPO, as I would like all my companies to do, that would actually make this process easier. Structuring is. Interesting due diligence here. I don't know whether they're referring, I don't know who's due diligencing who, but I assume it's a two-way street, as actually it's multiples. I mean, whenever you're doing a business contract with anyone, you kind of want to due diligence them. You don't want to believe the data on Google. You don't exactly want to accept things and then find out later that, oh, that wasn't official. Maybe that data's 3 years old, or maybe that data was scaled in a way that you didn't understand it, or it meant something different. So you need to due diligence is the process of checking each other out at a deep level and making sure that what you are expecting to get is exactly what you're going to get before you sign something. And in this case, I think we're going to get due diligence by the CPA firms. We're going to due diligence the stock exchange to make sure that they're the best. When we're shopping around, which stock exchange do we want to list at? I think we'll due diligence underwriters and investment banks if we're looking for an insurance policy to mitigate the downsides on our IPO. And so basically, whoever you're working with, on some level you want to due diligence. The more significant the contract, the more significant the partnership, the more layers of due diligence I would recommend to make sure that you're not committing to something that you do not actually want to commit to. So you're going to make sure you're committing to things that are good commitments. Otherwise, there's going to be legal issues coming up in the future. So valuation is a fun game. It's really trying to value the company, value the stock and the equity, and that's really going to play into what's the value of its assets, the value of its equity, and what's the value of its liabilities, and what are we going to offer the market? Are there ways we can justify a higher listing price? How are we going to, what's the strategy when we approach our initial price point for IPO? I talked about this in underwriters in the direct listing quite a bit, and I would say that underwriters basically want to control the price you put it at. So if you choose to work with underwriters, you gotta be very careful, because underwriters will certainly they will value your company less than what it is, so that they can buy it back at a guaranteed profit. That's what I'm convinced of. I think that valuing your own company is desirable, but they won't let it happen. So if you want to value your own company at the IPO stage, you're probably going to have to say no to underwriters, or you're going to have to really flex your negotiation power, and you probably could, as Google did with its Dutch auction. So valuation, there are a lot of valuation strategies in terms of who gets the power to choose what price we're going to list, and what are the implications of that. And in most cases, it's in your own, it's your right as a company to choose that price point. And other people, other financial advisors like investment banks, they want to take that away from you. They want that power. They want the valuation power. And I think it's a cost benefit analysis. It's really just looking at, so it's not a big deal. An IPO, the main downside, I think, is to understand is if you IPO and you don't generate the capital that you wanted, it costs money to list as a listed public company. When you're looking at your fees, you just look, is that sustainable? If we IPO, can we sustain the costs of the extra accounting department, the auditing firms, the quarterly reports? Is that worth it? Or should we stay private longer? And in many cases, companies like Uber, they basically decided, look, they knew they could IPO 6 years ago. I was thinking of this. IPOing is not hard. IPOing is something that, it's like listing your product to sell at a company. You're listing your shares to sell at a stock exchange. It's not difficult. The key is you don't IPO because it's easy. You IPO because you think you can get the maximum price. And so you don't actually want to sell your shares until you think you've made the cow fatter, as fat as can be, and can sell it at the highest premium. And so the founders of Uber, for example, it was in their best interest not to IPO as soon as they can, but to sell their shares when it is at the highest price. And since they could IPO, but they felt they were growing fast enough, they should stick in the game and just let the value stack up. And there's no need to IPO before you feel like you've hit your maximum value. There's no rush, no hurry. Because if your company is creating value, everyone, investor demand, investor interest, investor confidence is already getting up. Even as a private company, people are getting interested and excited into Uber. So the only question is, do I think I can get the maximum price? Oh, I can't? Then I'm going to say private. Why? Because staying private, you don't have to share your financial data, and you don't have to incur additional cost structure, so you can be leaner because you don't have to pay for all these additional fees to list. And so technically, if you want the IPO exit to go as smoothly as possible, you keep your company as a private company. You grow in value, grow in revenues and profit, and then you push yourself past the date you can IPO. Like, oh, we're IPOable, and you don't IPO, and you just keep going, so you don't have to pay fees. And then when you feel like you've hit maximum value, that's when you're saying, let's IPO here, and let's see how the market responds. And if the market doesn't positively respond, you now pay for the additional fees, and you just keep hustling, keep doing what you need to do, keep going forward. And if things dip or slide, it doesn't really matter. If you believe in the company, just keep reinvesting in the company. And investor confidence, I think, comes from people who have a much more long-term vision and the ability to create value. So if the company is just creating value, eventually investors will come hurrying in. This is what my belief is. So in this stage, they actually broken down to, should we even IPO? And I think that's a very critical thing is I think there are certain companies that no IPO is not at all of interest. That's completely fine. And there are companies that have interest in an IPO. And if those companies, maybe they're venture backed, they have interest in an IPO, it becomes a matter of how do we get ourselves to become as attractive as possible for a good IPO. But timing is critical. And when we are suitable, we should not use that as the defining trait. We shouldn't say we're suitable for IPO, let's IPO. We should think to ourselves, like as I said, we can IPO, but let's really ask ourselves, is this the maximum value we can get for our shareholders? Now, once you've decided this is indeed a good time to offer the shares, because if you offer it, you don't have to sell all your shares. You're just offering, and you're seeing what you can theoretically, you're seeing what the market is willing to pay for your equity. Given all your financial data, what does the market want to pay?
All these people talking all this stuff about you, saying that you done sold out, that you done changed.
As Salman Khan said, the market price is actually the highest price that people are willing to pay for something. And in a way, an IPO is kind of like a test. You're seeing whether or not they're valuing it higher, equal to, or less than what you value at. And if they value it less than you, don't sell. If they value it equal, you can consider to sell. But if they value it higher than you value it, then that's a pretty good signal that maybe this is where a sale should occur. So now we've submitted it to the government, the stock exchange, SEC in America, NASDAQ, New York Stock Exchange. Roadshows are just a fancy term of saying investor presentations. Let's present our company. Let's tell people the good news. Tell them, hi, my name is Chris. I'm the CEO of PaiDai. We are really excited to bring you the best educational gaming platform in the world. And now we're going public. And you can join us. That's basically what we're saying. Look out for IPO. It's coming on this date. Blah, 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 blah. Book building. So book building is really about price discovery, because valuation and book building go kind of hand in hand. Valuation is when you're actually trying to consider the balance sheet. What is the value of the assets, the debt, and the equity? But book building, it really refers to just the price of the share. What is the opening price that we should open at that will lead to a successful IPO outcome? So in this case, they put underwriting back here, listing and quotation. Quotation means the price quotation. And so usually if you choose to work with underwriters, they are actually brought on at this early stage and they've worked through all 3 stages. And underwriting basically means that the most simple way of explaining it is you've bought an insurance policy that if people do not buy your shares of stock, the investment bank or the underwriter has guaranteed you that they will buy back all your shares at a minimum price. So that way you know for sure, well, the worst thing that could happen is my underwriter is going to buy my shares. And then my underwriter is going to trade the shares and pretend that there's demand for your stock. And he's going to charge you money for that service. And he's going to demand multiple things of you. He's going to demand, okay, we're going to have a shareholder lockdown period. So shareholders, pre-IPO, like the founder lockdown, they can't sell their shares for 180 days. They'll demand to control the roadshows and the marketing aspect. They'll demand to lead the book building process. So they want to control price discovery. They want to be in charge of valuation. And they will be the one who finally controls what price do you list at. And you're just going to pay them a percentage of the proceeds of the IPO and a service charge. And I think most companies go with underwriters because it really communicates confidence. It doesn't just communicate confidence, it communicates that professional investment banks have confidence in your company, and it also communicates to other investors that if they buy, they can expect that there will be trading of that stock, and more likely than not, the price will go higher than the underwriter's price. Otherwise, the underwriter is going to get wrecked. So that's kind of the underwriter aspect. So I think most people choose to go ahead with that option because they just feel like it's expensive. 7% of your IPO is expensive, but if it helps me sell, I'm okay with it. After this, the underwriter, the SEC, and the stock exchange, they're going to have required you to do certain things after the IPO. For example, you need to present quarterly reports, financial data. That's a continued obligation. The underwriters may have said you cannot sell your stock. That's a continued obligation after listing. You may need to continue to submit more forms, because it seems to me right now that you can actually IPO without all your forms completed, because that's what Bumble seems to have done. So you need to pay attention to that. But once you've listed your stock on the exchange, people can just buy and sell your shares. It's not a big deal. There's the opportunity to trade. In the United States of America, for a publicly traded company, they begin trading at something like 9 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time to 4 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, and Monday through Friday. And I think to see success at the trading aftermarket stage, you just actually focus on the same business fundamentals that carried you to this point. Are we delighting the customer? Are we creating value? Are we competitive in our pricing? Are we competitive in our offering? Are there ways we can improve the quality of our product and services? Can we increase our market share? Can we serve more markets? Are we oversaturated in certain markets? Are we undersaturated in certain markets? Should we peel back product offerings that are underperforming, or should we double down on those products? Should we invest long-term in new bets now that we maybe raised a lot of capital from this liquidity event? Are there acquisitions that we can make? How can we position this company to ensure its longevity and give a positive return on investment for our shareholders? How can we protect our business interests while serving the general public? What do we need to be afraid of? What threats are there to our businesses? How can we expand our business? Are there new technologies that are emerging that we can better incorporate? Like Netflix showed me, you can transition from delivering people CDs to actually having people live stream things, data. And Netflix now takes what, like the most internet? I think Netflix takes more internet bandwidth than Google. So Netflix started as a kind of like a delivery company, turning into an internet delivery company. Like that was a beautiful transition, very seamless, and very unexpected. Do we need to do something like that? I mean, as the company Slack used to be a gaming company, and they transitioned into a workplace messaging platform. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway has real estate, macaroni and cheese, See's Candies, Fruit of the Loom. They have a lot of random products, you might say. So, in theory, when a company goes public, the company does not need to stay committed to a single industry. It can get creative. There are no rules that say you can only sell computer chips. You can literally sell potato chips and computer chips simultaneously. Now, you might need to operate under multiple brands, and you may need to be quite clever in your approach to customers, but there aren't rules that say if you're a soft drink company like Red Bull, you can't sell hats, or if you're a gaming company, you can't sell cars. You can, if you actually can sell cars as a gaming company. Now, just to show more openness. This is another way of looking at the steps in the IPO. Structure. How do we want to approach the IPO? Kickoff meeting. Well, there's going to be a lot of meetings to an IPO. But a kickoff meeting is basically, hey guys, we're going to IPO this company. Thank you for joining us. You probably need to talk to your shareholders because not every shareholder will want to see an IPO. They maybe want to delay the IPO. They may think that there are certain issues that should be resolved because an IPO would take the executive team's time and energy away from other pressing concerns. So you don't exactly want to be IPOing a company unless the company has stabilized to a certain degree. And once you've stabilized around some kind of normal, that would actually enable you to take on more responsibilities because in theory, the executive team would now be adding a whole new set of priorities that did not exist before that. I think due diligence is something that needs to be organized, and they're not all equal. Like if I did due diligence on a company and someone else did due diligence on a company, or our team A or team B did due diligence on a company, they might have different results. One company might have 0 findings, and the other company might really be sharp and catch significant areas of concern. So I think building trustworthy teams during the IPO phase is going to be a lot of fun because I think it's kind of like a once in a lifetime opportunity for a lot of people to IPO. Yeah, so building internal teams to manage this process must be quite exciting. I think it would be a change of pace. And I think documentation is key. Keeping all your exhibit A's, B's, CDs, and just having good documentation overall as a company going into an IPO would turn this whole thing from super hard mode to like significantly easier, because if you have your documents in order, especially the financial data, it can be It's like having a messy backpack looking for a pencil, or having a completely orderly binder. And so you know exactly where you put your homework. I think I have actually failed to turn in my homework before because I didn't know where it was in my backpack. So documentation is that about the data, the metadata. And in today's day and age, we're entering this world where everything's digitized. Documentation, privacy, and security, I think all are topics of trade secrets. These things are things that need to be managed and handled very carefully, because in a company, people come in and come out of the company. People are hired and they're fired. People are poached, etc. And so, as a founder, we have to have expectations that people aren't going to be in the company forever. So creating information silos where people have access only to the information they absolutely need to operate in their role becomes a necessity. But at the same time, we cannot rely on, like, for example, as the CEO of my own company, there are a lot of documents, and this is where the document control comes in. There's a lot of documents that are with other people, and when they leave, they may not want to give you those documents. So having the proper repositories and the proper structures in place to make good use, where people work at the company, they create assets, whether it's marketing assets, whether they create content, whatever they're doing for the company, they're all contributing in some kind of pyramid that when they leave, other people join the company, they're also contributing to the same place. So no one has to go looking around in crazy places and not finding stuff. This is pretty much a key area of documentation. And I think it becomes easier to work with lawyers and strategically just plan out, okay, how do we optimize our own legal business entity structure when you have the relevant documents put in an orderly fashion where you can just say, okay, let's look exactly at the problem instead of, hold on, let me go find this. Hold on, let me go find that. Oh man, I didn't even know we needed this. Where's this? So in this case, this is filing with Securities Exchange Commission, and with the stock exchange, SE Stock Exchange. So now we're prepared for that IPO. We're prepared to issue our shares to the public. And so this area, they're breaking down as the marketing phase of the issues, that we're about to sell a lot of shares to the public. And whenever you sell something, it'd be a good idea to let people know that you're selling it. That's what marketing is. It's about packaging. It's about availability. It's about glamorizing it a little bit. It's about making it attractive. But at the end of the day, if people don't know something's for sale, if they cannot see it, they're not going to be able to buy it. So the main goal of marketing, I think, is to get them to think about it, to get them the visibility, the discoverability. And if people know that your IPO is happening and they know where to buy it and they know how to buy it, that's kind of the pipeline we want to push them towards. But at the very bare minimum, we want the world to talk about the IPO. The worst case scenario, even if people don't even buy the stock, we've increased our brand presence. So the IPO is also an opportunity to just get into public consciousness. So if we're going to get through all this trouble to market this issuing of shares, why don't we just market all our products simultaneously? I mean, we're IPOing, so we're planning on being here for a while, and we want more customers. The whole point of IPOing is you want more capital to serve more customers. So why don't we use this time period to double down on our advertising efforts and capture even more market share and attract more customers? And that's actually more important. We should always realize that customers bring investors. Sure, investors can bring customers because investors can jumpstart a company and then create something of value and then get customers. But at the end of the day, the real priority should be customers, because investors, they're hoping that there's a customer. They believe that if there's a customer who will pay for this stuff, it's worth investing. So if you've got real customer growth, if your customer acquisition cost is going down, if for market shares increasing during the IPO, that's the best marketing you can do. You know what I mean, right? Like the best marketing you could possibly do is if during the lead up phase, because all this data, financial data, is going to be made available during the public, during all this financial data, all this documentation, the relevant documentation is going to be made available to the public. So if the company has been growing for the last 2 years pre-IPO, that's going to be a significant positive signal to the investing world. And post-IPO, let's say that people were not interested in the shares during the trading phase, that's okay, because you're not stuck at IPO, you're on this, what I call CPO, continual public offering. If you're a public company on the stock exchange, you're still continually offering your public shares. And so it's not the time to give up on marketing, it's the time to keep marketing. You keep marketing till you die as a company. And the idea here is during the continued public offering, let's say people weren't sure they should invest in the first quarter, immediately after the IPO. They wanted to wait for the first quarter's results. And they see the first quarter's results, customer growth was like double. Because awareness of our brands, the stickiness of our products kicked in, then they're going to invest. So I think that we should never divorce company performance, marketing, and the selling of your shares. If the company's if we market the company well, the company will perform better. If the company performs better, you have more marketing material to market towards investors. And if the investors have more confidence into the company because of this growth, they will put in more capital. And if they put in more capital, we've got more money to do more marketing, to build more products, to satisfy the customer more. So it becomes what we call a fly loop, a feedback loop. And we want to create this virtuous cycle where the product's good, so it makes marketing's jobs easy, so marketing can easily capture market share. Then market share is captured, so investors see that market share is captured, so they're excited and their confidence goes up, so they put in more money, and then we have more money, so now it's easier to actually improve the products, hire on better teams, larger teams, service in more locations, more feature sets, and more money to even market even more. And in the case of social and gaming, the reality is social and gaming benefit from a larger player base. So if there are larger player bases in your PvP video game, then there's going to be more money in the tournament scene. There's going to be more people who can be professional esports players, and therefore there'll be more Twitch streamers, and then there's going to be more people watching those Twitch streams, and then there's going to be bigger tournament dollars, and there's going to be bigger show-ups, and then it just like you're trying to like get into this loop. We're talking about this aspect a lot. So the final phase, ROC filing a final prospectus. So this has to do with like tombstone ads, and for us 10K and S1 filing. The idea is before an IPO, we're giving them a prospectus. A prospectus is like, this is how our company is doing, and it doesn't have, it's a form that tells the public how your company is doing. It has your financial data, but it does not actually have a offering price yet, because price discovery and book building is still happening. So in order to finalize the price, IPO price, you want to let the public know more about your company, get information so they can start thinking about it, and then you're gauging and measuring public interest, and you can even say bids on your stocks. And at that case, during this phase of the prospectus, the final prospectus is that one has the price. This is the form that tells people to expect an IPO price of this amount. Expect this price, this is how well our company is doing, and expect this date. This is the actual date, because you want people to be ready and excited, have it on their calendars, because time zones aren't exactly the same. So if you really want the international markets to participate at the maximum level of participation, you kind of want to be considerate to give them a heads up. We're trading here. Otherwise, you're giving U.S. East a unfair trading advantage, you can say, because we start on their time zone, but U.S. West has to wake up at 6 a.m. at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. Eastern is 6 a.m. Western. And in Nigeria or in China, the time zones are going to be completely different. And if your company is really generating that global audience and interest, which it can, there is going to be, I mean, there are financial professionals all over the world whose job is to get the positive ROI, and they are the ones who are pulling the trigger for their LPs, making the decisions whether or not to invest their investors' money. And if their funds are underperforming, they might look at your fund, your IPO, as an opportunity to basically save their careers, and even as an opportunity to have good news to give to their investors. So some people are pretty serious about investing, waking up at crazy hours, and they should be, because an IPO events do not exactly happen every single day, and they actually provide something fresh for the market, because when you're not trading IPOs, you're basically trading companies that are CPOs, continued public offerings. But IPOs are new opportunities to arbitrage and completely see massive deltas and big changes in your buy and sell prices. That's what I think. And so when we list, I think we should really treat it as a very normal process. Took 4 months, went through the entire phase, very normal. We went through meetings, we filed for approval, we tried to find a price, we marketed our brand, we tried to build our customer base, we tried to show we got our public available numbers possible. Now the public knows about our company. They've been marketed to. They have access to the prospectus. They have access to our preliminary data, and now they can make the decision for themselves. Is this a company they want to partner with in the long term? Is this a company they want to trade? Is this a company they think has high potential? And our job as a company is to prove everyone who thinks that it's not worth buying wrong, and prove everyone who did buy they were right. Because, I mean, why start a company that's not going to create value, right? It's just like, if you're trying to not create value, don't even create a company. So we are trying to create value. The question is, can you create value? And so if we can't create value, our job is then to innovate and ask our customers, how can we create value for you? And if that doesn't work, we can even look at our competitors and say, who's creating the most value for our customers, and can we copy them and innovate and build off of that? That's another option. Welcome to chat. I put her because I love her smile. Okay, we're going to take a break soon. Maybe we can take a break. I think it's good practice though, just getting in the mood. And I actually don't feel too bad for staggering it so many sessions, because I feel that the more sessions I'm actually having, I'm actually really getting unintimidated about the whole process. I feel like I've gone through multiple IPOs in my life already, even though I've not even gone into a single one. Like, it feels like I've gone through so many IPOs because I've literally let's talk about IPOs, let's talk about it. The song's dope. This song is called Uncle Reese, I Can't Help Myself. Featured Jordan Armstrong. We're gonna take a break. We love you guys. Can't help myself. Cheers to another good day of work. We'd love to keep working. You know, at the end of the day, if we love what we work on, that is a mighty blessing. So we're gonna pray before we go. God, thank you for beautiful music. Thank you for so many wonderful slides that people helped create to study IPOs. Thank you for the discipline and the courage to practice and discuss IPOs at a deep level. I pray for understanding, that you deepen my wisdom and deepen my understanding of finance, design, and technology. I don't feel like I'm creating a lot of value for my customers or my shareholders right now, but I would love to. So I invite you that you're always welcome to be part of my entrepreneurship journey, part of my life, personal, professional, romantic, non-romantic, gaming, social, exercise. And I invite you to change my understanding of things to fit what's true and to give me love for my fellow human beings and to live right, because wow, it's not easy to live right. And I want to continue to work productively with what you've given me and to use all my abilities to create something that I'm proud of, that can share with the world over and over and over again. I pray all these things in the Lord Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Woohoo! Take care. God bless.